Speed is like a scientific term. I'm not scientific. It's like a science fiction term that means like extremely fast, like faster than the speed of light, right? And the reason I want to talk to you about that is because um, we have, I think we've got some ideas and some beliefs that are not beneficial when it comes to changing our lives financially. And one of those is that there's ultimately something wrong with creating wealth rapidly, right? So that's, and most people have that as an internal belief, whether they've voiced it, whether they've expressed it or not. But I'm going to tell you something. People often ask me, like when I'm being interviewed on a podcast, a lot of times the last question they'll ask me is like, so Myron, if you could go back and talk to your 25-year-old self, what would you say, right? And that's kind of a cool question because if I had a chance to go back and talk to my 25-year-old self, I know exactly what I would say. And I always say the same thing every single time. And I would say this because I was happened to be 25 when I started as a real entrepreneur selling financial services, insurance and investments, even though I wasn't really selling any because I couldn't sell. I was terrible. It took me a year and a half to make my first sale as an entrepreneur, but I lasted through the learning curve and I eventually made that first sale. And then I eventually became the top salesperson in our office. But if I could go back and talk to my 25-year-old self, here's what I would say. I would say, 25-year-old Myron, this is 61-year-old Myron. I'm coming to you from your future, and I am here to tell you that you are going to create massive wealth for your family. Since you're going to do it as fast as you possibly can. Don't drag your feet. Don't waste time. Like ignore all the distractions. Put your nose to the grindstone. Figure out what's going to work. Like, don't be distracted by entertainment. Don't be distracted by sports. Don't be distracted by things that do not contribute to your vision because you're going to create wealth. And the reason I'm telling you want to do it faster rather than slower is because the sooner you get there, the longer you get to enjoy it with the people you love the most. I think about how much time, effort, energy, love, teaching, training, preparing my mom and my dad put into me and my 6 brothers. I had the most remarkable parents. They were not the most perfect parents by any stretch of the imagination, right? But they were the most remarkable parents, maybe who ever existed, because they did so much with so little. And they taught us things that they should not have known because I don't know where they learned them. And so I wish, like if I could go back, I say I wish, I would love for them to have had the opportunity to see the things that they instilled in us come to the fruition that it's come to. They got the chance to see a little of it. They didn't really get a chance to see it at the level that it's at now. I would love to be able to take my dad, who passed away last year, who worked like a 3-legged mule to provide for his wife and 7 sons for our lives. I would love to go back and create wealth at a time when I wanted to go on a vacation to the Dominican Republic, like me and my wife and my daughter, my son-in-law, my grandbaby just came back from, that I could put them on a private jet and fly them to a foreign country and they could have gone on vacation. Like money, like stuff is the least valuable thing we buy with money. It's not that stuff isn't valuable at all. It's just not the most valuable stuff. I have nice cars, but man, I'd trade those cars, I'd give those cars away in a heartbeat to have the opportunity to share with my parents the experiences that I get to experience now. If they could see my brothers and I now and what all the work and prayer and education and thought and training that they put into us, if they could see it now, oh man, it would be such a blessing. Not saying they can't see it now, but if they could be here to experience it with us now, that would make it, that experience, that much more rich for us, right? And when I think about my oldest son, I was really thinking about him a lot yesterday. My oldest son, Adam, he was in a car accident when he was 20, back in 2007, passed away 4 days later. That year was the year we were going to take our family to Hawaii for a month, and he was the most excited about it. And he didn't get to go. And what I would give to go be able to do that, all of my children have been working beside me in my business since they were knee high to a grasshopper. And I just I think, man, how much, if I would have gotten this done sooner, right? And we think we have all this time. And I'm like, I know money isn't everything. Okay, good. Like, that's fine. I get that. But it answers everything. And so if I would have gotten it done sooner, my son Adam would have been able to experience so many things my son Anthony experienced, and so many things my daughter Dee Dee experienced, that he doesn't get the experience with us. And we don't get the experience with him. And I would give anything to be able to go back. I wish I would have gotten it done sooner. Like, I am telling you, when I know you think you want a mansion and a Lamborghini and a Rolls Royce and a Mercedes and all that. Maybe you do. But I promise you that won't be anywhere near as rewarding as buying back your time so you can invest it in the people you love the most. I got to spend some time last night. My wife and I, we went out to dinner. We went to Eddie V's, which is one of my favorite restaurants. I say it's one of my favorite restaurants. It is my favorite restaurant. We went to Eddie V's last night. We just hung out, talked, and ate dinner. And I'm so thankful that we get to do that while we can enjoy it, right? So many people are squirreling away their money so they can retire at some time in the future where they hope they have enough energy and vitality in their body to be able to appreciate it. I want to tell you what I would tell my 25-year-old self. It's going to happen. You might as well get it over with. You might as well just get the deal done. And so a couple of things when it comes to creating wealth fast that I want to share with you that I think will be beneficial. The first thing I want to share with you about this whole concept of warp speed wealth is this. Wealth is measured more in time than it is in money. Did y'all hear what I just said? Wealth is measured more in time than it is in money. What do I mean by that? Well, if I say, if you make $1 million, are you rich? The only real answer is, it depends. What does it depend on? How long did it take you to make it? You say, it has to depend on more than that. It really doesn't. Watch this. So if you make $25,000 a year, which is really low, and you work for 40 years, you made $1 million. Are you rich? No. You paid a bunch of taxes, you paid a bunch of bills, you probably have none of that money left over. Zero. So you're not rich, even though you made $1 million. Now watch this. This is person A. This is person A. This is person B. Person B makes $1 million in 1 year. Do you realize this person is 40 times richer than this person? Why? Because they made the $1 million 40 times faster. 40 times faster. If you make $1 million a month, you're 480 times richer than this person. And see, what a lot of people don't get, people act as if they think they're going to live to be 900. You are not Methuselah. People say, Myron, why are you so intense? Why do you have this sense of urgency about you? Because I am dying. Oh, that's so terrible. So are you. Act like it. What does the scripture say? Lord, teach us to apply our hearts teach us to number our days. Why? That we may apply our hearts unto wisdom. Well, guess what? If I'm applying my heart unto wisdom, wisdom never travels alone. Go read Proverbs chapter 8, 9, and 10. Wisdom doesn't travel alone. Wisdom always brings sidekicks. Sidekicks like what? Wealth, abundance, leadership, authority. Like when you get wisdom, you don't just get wisdom. You get all the benefits of having that wisdom. So if you make $1 million a year, you are 40 times richer. Not because you made 40 times more money, but because you made the same amount of money 40 times faster. Well, how do I create this warp speed wealth? Myron, my 25-year-old self says to my 61-year-old self, how do I do this warp speed wealth thing? Here's what you do. You put attention and intention on buying. Oops. I don't know how to change that marker. I didn't even intend to do that. Okay. You put attention and intention on buying time with money. versus putting your attention and intention on trading time for money. If you trade time for money, you're going to end up on the short end of that stick. Not you might, I'm just telling you. Why? Here's why you're going to end up on the short end of the stick when you trade time for money. Because time is more valuable than money. How much more valuable? Infinitely more valuable. Now, when I say that, that sounds really nice and it sounds really cute and really like a nice little quote. Time is more valuable than money. I think I'll put that on Instagram today. Fine, but live like it. See, the scripture tells us that we should walk circumspectly, as wise, not as fools. It's interesting, the word circumspectly means wisely. So walk wisely, not as fools, but as wise. Okay, how do I do that? How do I walk circumspectly, as wise, not as fools? How do I do that? By redeeming the time, because the days are evil. Oh, so the way that I walk wisely is by redeeming the time. So what does this word redeem mean? The word redeem, it means to buy back. It means to buy. Go look it up in your Strong's Concordance. Don't take my word for it. To buy up. It means to rescue from loss. And it means to improve opportunity. Oh, so the scripture tells me to buy back my time, rescue it from loss, improve my opportunity. Isn't that interesting? And see, you thought the most valuable thing you bought with money was some stuff. You thought the most valuable thing you bought with money was paying your bills. You thought the most valuable thing you bought with money was some shoes or some clothes, but the most valuable thing you will ever buy with money is you will buy back the rest of your life. I said to somebody last week, lying is stealing, and stealing is murder. What did he say? Lying is stealing, and stealing is murder. What does that mean? Well, lying is stealing because you're telling somebody something that's not true in order to get something from them that they believe is true, so you didn't give them any real value. You lied to them, so you stole it from them. Since they worked for part of their life to earn the money to pay for that thing, you didn't just steal the thing from them, you stole that part of their life. And whether you take somebody's life, steal part of somebody's life in the middle, or steal at the end, you're still stealing part of their life. Myron, what does that have to do with anything? If life is the stuff that time is made of, if I said to you, you're watching me on YouTube right now, like I see Curtis Ball on YouTube right now live, right? So if I said, Curtis, I'll give you $1 million check today. It will clear the bank. Do you want that money? What do you think Curtis would say? Well, 100%. I'm probably going to get an absolutely if he's still here, right? 100%, right? So anybody in this room, if I said, I'm going to give you $1 million today, give you a check for $1 million, it will clear the bank today. You'll be able to go get the money today. Like who wants that check, right? Exactly. But what if there were a stipulation and I said, in order for you to get that check, you have to end your life today. Now who wants that check? Nobody. Why? Because you already know inherently and intuitively that time is more valuable than money. You just haven't been living like it. And so let me give you the scenario in a different way. What if you had some woeful, dreadful disease and the doctor said you were going to die in 3 weeks unless you get this antidote, and you've got $1 million in your 401k. And the only way you're going to be able to survive is if you get this $1 million out of your 401k and you buy this antidote because it's $1 million and insurance doesn't cover it. How many of you are going to buy that antidote? It's already worked for other people, and everybody who's ever used it has success. I'm buying that antidote. Why? Because I already value having more time than I do valuing having more money. Because I can do more with the time if I don't have the money than I can with the money if I don't have the time. Are y'all tracking? And so all of us already know that time is more valuable than money, but what we've forgotten is that since time is more valuable than money, I should use my money to buy back my life. I can use my money to buy back my life 1 hour at a time. How? Hiring people to do things that will save me time. Here's what's really interesting. When you hire an expert, they have all the tools, they have all the expertise, they can do it in half the time that it would take you. Like for me, and probably some of you are not going to like what I'm about to say, but that's okay. I'm not running for office, so I can just tell you the truth. Like I charge $40,000 an hour for consulting. That's a lot of money to some people, right? $40,000 an hour. So if I take an hour and cut my grass, it just costs me $40,000. I pay a company $100 a month. They cut my grass 4 times a week, and I don't have to think about it. I bought back that much of my life. Now I can invest that part of my life either into learning something that I don't know or spending time with somebody that I love. I'm not doing something to try to save some money. Here's what happens. When you buy this lie, time is money, time is money. I hear people say that, and it's like, stop saying that. Time is not money. Time is infinitely more valuable than money. See, if you go through life believing that time is money, here's what you're going to do. You're going to waste a whole bunch of time trying to save a little bit of money. People drive 13 miles to go to Walmart, to take 13 hours to trudge over that big warehouse that's pretending to be a store so they can save 16 cents. Not me. Why? My time's too valuable. I don't have time for people to waste. I don't have any time to flush down the toilet, right? And so figure out the things you're not good at and the things you don't like to do in your life, in your house. You don't like to clean your house? Great. Hire somebody to clean your house and buy back those hours. You don't like cutting the grass? Great. Hire somebody, cut the grass. You don't like to cook? Great. Hire a chef. I thought about it this morning. If I hired an executive chef to just come to work, if I hired a chef full time, we would save a lot of money. Because we go out to eat every night. You know why? Because we don't have to prepare any food. We don't have to clean up any dishes. We can spend that time looking at each other and talking to each other. That's way more valuable than saving a few pennies to me. Because, see, most people think the quality of their life is determined by the number of years of experience they have doing a thing. Right? They say things like, I've got 20 years of experience driving this forklift. No, you don't, because it don't take that long to learn how to drive one. You got 2 weeks experience, repeated over a 20-year time period. That's not the same thing as 20 years of experience. And see, I believe that the quality of our life is not measured by the number of years of experience we have doing a thing, but the quality of our life is measured by the number of experiences we put in our years with the people we love the most. And I'm going to tell you something, because I've been ranting for 20 minutes. I wasn't expecting to rant this long. So I'm going to tell you something. I had a discovery back in April of 1999 that changed my life forever. It was the most mind-blowing financial awareness that I had ever perceived. Are y'all ready? Okay, here it is. So before I got to tell you about 1998 before I tell you about that. 1998, I made $48,000 for the year. $48,000 for the whole year. January of 1999, my brother Mark or my brother Jeff, I'm not sure which one because they both read it, they told me about this book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. When I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, to me, I could sum that book up in a couple of sentences. The difference between rich people, poor people, and middle class is what they think the purpose of money is. That's the summation of the entire book. Poor people think the purpose of money is paying bills. Middle class people think the purpose of money is paying their bills on time so they can maintain good credit so they can buy things they can't afford. Rich people realize that the purpose of money is to turn it into more money. Period. And rich people accumulate assets, and income follows assets. So at that time, when I read that book, I was my only income-producing asset. And I said, I can't afford to be my only income-producing asset. I need to go and accumulate some assets. So I read the book in January, started accumulating some assets, and it was April of the same year. It was like 3.5 months later. Now, $48,000 a year before, right? So $48,000 is $4,000 a month. By the way, that was the best year I had ever had. Are y'all tracking? But April of 1999, my life changed forever, and here's what happened. I made $6,200 in 1 week. And you know what I did? When I made $6,200 in 1 week, I said, wow. What would you say? You know what I did after that? I said it backwards. I said, wow. Then I said it upside down and backwards. I said, Mom, wow. Like, it changed my life forever because I realized, wait a minute, I said, that was so easy. And when I realized, as soon as the word "that was so easy" came out of my mouth, here's what I said. That must mean it's easier to make a lot of money in a short period of time than it is to make a little money over a long period of time. So good. And when I realized that, I decided that day, hear me now, I decided that day that I am going to stop looking at all the hard ways to make a little bit of money. I'm going to stop looking for all the hard ways to make a little bit of money because that's what I had learned my whole life. I'm only going to look for, and I'm only going to look at, give any attention or intention to the easier ways to make a lot of money. By July of that same year, I made $8,000 in one day in the stock market. Now, right before we came live here today, I was doing another video. Well, I was recording a video for next week because I'm going to be in Boise, Idaho. But the stock market opened, and I already had some positions left over from Monday. I closed some out for profit yesterday, but I had some positions left over from Monday, so I couldn't look at the market when it was open because I started recording the video at 9:15. I didn't get done until like 10 minutes to 10. I looked at the market, and I said, wow. I made like $245,000 today in the stock market. Today. Now, what's really interesting, that account, and that's one of my accounts. I've got multiple accounts, but that one account, and I'm not, oh, Myron's flexing. I'm not. I'm just showing you how to elevate your thinking, right? So, September 15th, I paid like $800-something thousand for taxes and pension plans and 401ks and all this stuff, September 15th from that account, which took that account from whatever it was down to $600,000. That's how much was in that account September 16th, $600,000. In that same account today is $1,582,000. I'm not telling you that to impress you. And that's just that one account. I'm telling you that because the reason I'm able to do that, and you could do it, maybe not to that degree yet, but you could do it if you changed your perspective and you shifted your focus. Is that a get-rich-quick scheme? You better hope so, because you're not going to be here long enough to get rich slow. Do you realize if I live to be 100 and get rich, that's quick? There are people who lived 100 years and didn't get rich. Here's the definition of quick: in your lifetime. And so we have to understand. By the way, if one of the things a couple things, really great things my dad taught me when I was younger. Number one, and I told this story before, but I'm going to tell it again. We were working on this old raggedy car. We were trying to take the exhaust manifold off. The bolt was rusted, and it wouldn't come off. And we took a break to go. We tried a torch. We tried a chisel. We tried WD-40. It wasn't coming off. I was like, Dad, it's not coming off. He said, oh, it's coming off. It's coming off. He said, you know why it's coming off, boy? No, sir. Because we got a brain. It don't have a brain. It's like, oh. And I concluded from elementary school, because of something my dad said to me, if I'm working on something that doesn't have a brain and I have a brain, it can't beat me. Are y'all tracking? And so that's one thing. The other thing, my dad used to sing this song, and then he would teach us the lesson. It was like he thought he had never said it before, but he did it all the time. He would go through, he'd say, anything you can do, I can do better. I can do anything better than you. Anything you can do, I can do better. I can do anything better than you. And he'd say, if somebody else can do it and they can figure it out, son, I can figure it out. If they can figure it out and I can figure it out, you can figure it out. If there are people who figured out how to create this warp speed wealth, I am telling you, you don't have to be imprisoned by your past experiences unless you're unwilling to transform your expectations. Because lack cannot exist in your experience unless it first exists in your expectations or the expectations of somebody who's responsible for you. Am I talking too fast? Now, I told you about that major financial aha. It's easier to make a lot of money. That changed my life. I literally stopped paying attention to things that wouldn't make me a lot of money in a short period of time. Now, I'm going to tell you the biggest financial aha I've had in my life since then. I had another new aha this year that replaced that one as the most earth-shattering. I shared this with Jerry Clark the other day, one of my first millionaire mentors. and I shared it with him that I learned this thing, and it's so mind-blowing. And if you will allow yourself to receive what I'm about to say in the spirit in which I'm saying it, which is, I hope you can see what I see when I say what I'm about to say. Okay, here it is. I want to make sure I'm not going over time. I'm not. Okay. So, to poor people and middle-class people, most things seem expensive because they're paying for those things with money they've exchanged their time for, so they feel like they're paying for it with their life because they are. Are y'all tracking? To entrepreneurs and creatives, we pay for things out of our creativity, which is very different than paying for something with my creativity. Why? Well, if I pay for it out of my creativity, I have less creativity after I paid for it than I did before I paid for it. So I'm not paying for it out of my creativity. I'm not taking anything out of my creativity when I create something new. I'm paying for it with my creativity. So I still have as much creativity left before I got started, maybe even more, than I did before I created the new thing. So now I pay for things with my creativity. So what do? I have something, a purchase I want to make. I create I come up with an idea, something of value that I offer to the marketplace. They buy it from me. I take the money that I've exchanged for that thing that I created with my idea, and now I have more money. But I have something else. I have a new asset that my creativity produced. So now, not only do I not have less because I leveled up and bought something that cost more, not only do I not have less, I actually have more because I chose to level up and buy something that cost more. Because it gave me the necessity, it made me aware of the necessity to tap into a higher level of creativity than I've ever had to tap into before. And now once I tap into that higher level of creativity, I now from that level of creativity create an asset that can pay for that thing. And it doesn't matter what that thing is. It could be a house in a new neighborhood. It could be a car. It could be any car you want. It could be any house you want. It could be a private island. It could be a private jet. It could be a world-class vacation. It doesn't matter. When you level up and you decide you're going to purchase something that to most people is expensive, you're going to tap it and you use your creativity to produce an asset that you exchange for the money to pay for that. It makes your life, like I'm telling you, when I figured this out, I realized that it doesn't matter if I want to buy a jet or a bottle of water, they both cost the same amount. How much do they cost me? The energy to use my creativity to create an asset that income can follow that I can use to pay for that thing. So mind-blowing. Here's why most people never transition from poor, middle class to rich and wealthy. Here's why. Because when it comes time for them to level up and pay for that thing that's outside their current resources, they don't realize that it doesn't matter if you have the resources or not. It only matters if you have the resourcefulness. Having the resourcefulness is more important than having the resources, right? And so because they resist, well, I'm not going to buy that because I don't have the money. Whether you have the money or not is of no matter. The real reason you're not buying it is because you're not tapped into your creativity. You've not leveled up your awareness. Most people who think they lack access actually only lack awareness. Did you hear what I just said? That'll change the game for you. I know for me, you know what I ask God to do for me? Lord, open my eyes so I can see the opportunities that are all around me that are already there to serve lots of people and to please you. So like if you'll just open my eyes and let me see the opportunities, that'll change everything for me. See, you're asking God to give you stuff. You should be asking him to give you awareness. I'm telling you, it'll change your life forever. That is my most mind-blowing epiphany of my 61 years on earth. That there's nothing that's outside my ability because there's nothing outside of my capability to use my imagination to create a resource, to create an asset rather, that I can exchange for the money. I'm telling you, if you'll start living like this, it'll blow your mind. And money will start coming to you so fast, it won't be a thing anymore. And like, people who have more money than you, people who make 100 times more money than you, they're not working 100 times harder. They're not 100 times smarter. They're not working 100 times more hours. So why do they have 100 times more money than you? because they found something that works 100 times better than what you found works. And by the way, I just told you what that thing is that works 100 times better. Stop driving the vehicle of your life down the highway of experience with one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake. Accelerate into the curves and trust that because you're made in the image of God, your imagination will find the solution. I hope this blesses you. Share it with somebody, like it. What else am I supposed to say? Comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and any other YouTube-y stuff that I forgot, make sure you do that as well. In the meantime, in between time, stay blessed by the best, and I'll see you soon. Peace out, Cub Scouts.